although it's only the gas, and we're not talking about the projectile, we're not talking about contact with any projectiles, just the force of the gas. There is no projectile. We're not talking about the round. We're talking only about the muzzle blast. This is just the muzzle blast. Welcome interns, I'm Dr. Chris, and today we're reacting to how dangerous are muzzle blasts from Ballistic High Speed. I haven't done something like this in a while, but I wanted to do something firearm related before Christmas.
So this is 30,000 frames a second, slowing life down about 1,000 times.
30,000, bam! 30,000 frames per second. Oh my goodness. We can see that there's no apparent injury.
Back on the thumb, I don't really see much happening though.
No, not really much happening. You can see that there's gas escaping the cylinder, which might cause a surface burn. Really, there's not that much going on. There doesn't seem to be that much force that's imparted, which I'm a bit surprised because I've recently watched a few videos where they've talked about not ever putting your hand in front of the cylinder because of escaping gas and escaping particles from the projectiles. But let's go on a little bit more and see what else they have to say.
Did I have the thumb over the rear of the cylinder?
Yeah, 100%. It only really comes out the front, right there.
Boom.
What the heck?
Yeah.
Which is kind of what I thought would happen actually. You can see that it's kind of coming out of the front of the cylinder. You can see when the projectile is fired that the gas escaping the front of the cylinder creates a pressure wave. You can see that that travels through the flesh of this meaty part here between the thumb and the index finger. But we can also see that there are no real bone or ligament injuries. So, you know, all in all, it's not really that bad. The only thing that he might have had, apart from the surface burns on the skin, was potentially a contusion on the tuft of the finger, because we can see that the index finger was blown back, or maybe, and this is reaching, a small tuft fracture, so that's the little bit of bone at the end of the finger. Maybe they might have had an undisplaced fracture of the tuft, but that's about it. So it's not as bad as I would have imagined, but certainly you still don't want to do it. But they're moving on to a bigger weapon. So let's see what we have next.
We're gonna move up to 450 Marlin, which is a little bit more extreme.
Yeah, that's a little bit more extreme, I'd say.
Research. 4570 government revolver, but we have a second.
That's a much bigger revolver right there.
4570 government, but it's just more.
So why is there a rifle?
No doubt.
Yeah, I'd say it's a little more.
It actually, you were right. It's the front. Yeah, lacerated index finger.
All right, now we're getting
that's a little bit.
Yeah.
It burnt and cut.
To the bone.
Right to the bone. Here we actually have a laceration, and this laceration is deep. It is right to the bone on the palmar aspect of the hand. So this is problematic because if it's going right to the bone, that means not only has the skin been disrupted, but all the tissue between the skin and the bone has also been disrupted. That includes the muscles, that includes the actual flexor tendons that allow your finger to bend. It also includes the digital nerves and the digital arteries or the digital vessels. Potentially your sensation to your fingertip or the rest of your finger will be compromised, and also the blood supply to and from that finger could also be compromised. And this is a problem. Is this something that is repairable? I think yes.
I can fix that.
But you could have problems with this after as a result of stiffness, scarring, and just a reduced ability for your hand to close and for you to be able to grasp using that index finger. So now we're looking at 3,000 frames.
Oh, a whole lot more. Oh, did that put a hole in the finger?
So once you have it here under slow motion, you really start to get a sense of how much force and how much power is coming out of the cylinder. And we're not talking about the projectile, we're just talking about the gas that is coming out of the cylinder as the projectile is being fired. And here you can see what we call the temporary cavity. Normally when we talk about temporary and the permanent cavity, we're talking about the projectile itself. But here too, we also have a temporary cavity that is caused by the gas that is exploding out of the cylinder. And you can see how the soft tissue of the ballistic hand expands as that gas comes out, and it does so only momentarily, and then it collapses back to its normal size. Granted, this ballistic gel is not an exact analog for human tissue, but it's kind of like the next best thing or the closest thing that we can use for an approximation. It's almost like it's a water balloon that's being blown up. There's no real injury to the bone, but the soft tissue has been quite severely damaged. In addition to that, you can see just how far back that index finger is bent by that explosion. We're not talking about contact with any projectiles, just the force of the gas has pushed it all the way back. So potentially you could also have a fracture of the index finger or potentially of the second metacarpal here. And you may also have a dislocation of the metacarpal phalangeal joint right here. And the most important thing to note here is that when you compare this injury to the other, this one is quite a bit more severe with a bit of degloving where the skin is actually pulled off of the bone. In the event of that, if this were real tissue, now we're starting to come into the territory where this may not be a fully repairable injury. If you're a returning viewer, thanks for your support. Give the video a like and leave a comment for the algorithm. If you're a new visitor, welcome to the channel where you leave smarter than when you arrive. Watch the video first, and if you've learned anything, join our army of intelligent interns learning about health and science at the end. And don't forget to subscribe with notifications so that you can be alerted when I post medical content that you'll enjoy. That said, let's move on. So the first two weapons they showed were revolvers. Now we're moving on to something a little bit more heavy duty. And here we're talking about the Desert Eagle.
Dude, it's right here.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I think it's clear to see that that's significant injury right there. I'm not sure why. Look, there you go. I'm not sure why you would ever put your hand that close to the muzzle of a handgun. So here we've had a severe injury, and we can see right away that there has been a traumatic amputation of the thumb. Already, we know that we're dealing with a level of force which is much higher than what we've already seen. We can see that there has been significant tissue deformation, but we also have a degloving injury of the index finger itself. So two of the most important digits of the hand have been injured by this weapon. And although an amputation could potentially be repaired, this is now starting to skew the meter much more towards unrepairable injury, just because of the amount of damage to the soft tissues, including, and most importantly, the blood vessels and the nerves. There is going to be significant amount of tissue loss. If there is an attempt to repair this, we have to work on restoring that soft tissue envelope around the bone itself. But in addition to that, we need to make sure that there is enough of the nerves that are remaining so that they can be either reattached or grafted. And likewise for the blood vessels, and the sequelae after this, or the consequences after this, are going to be quite profound. The amount of function that is restored to the hand is going to be limited, and this is a problem.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, and you just see, again,
I'm just trying to think of how much more crazy the 50 cal is going to be with Barrett.
Absolutely.
If this is ripping fingers completely off, that's just going to be nuts.
That's ridiculous. Yeah. So now you can see just how much force is being imparted by the gas as it comes out of the muzzle. Keep in mind that there is no projectile that is striking the hand here. This is gas only that is causing this to happen. And so this just speaks to the speed at which this gas is being expelled. Degloving and traumatic amputation, no bueno. So in the event that something like this happens to you, you don't know at the time whether it's going to be repairable or not, so you want to assume that it is. Put the finger into a bag on ice, and not directly on ice. You actually need two bags. You want to have one bag with the ice and a little bit of water, and then you want to have a second bag into which you put the finger to keep it separate from the ice and from the water itself. And then you put that into the first bag, and you want to get that done as quickly as possible. This is something that we need to do within 6 to 8 hours if you want the thumb or the finger that has been amputated to survive.
3, 2, 1.
Oh my gosh, look man. At that. That's supposed to be a hand, but it's not even recognizable as a hand anymore. So clearly this is a catastrophic injury. You can sort of see that there's fingers left, but the hand itself has literally disappeared. We can see that there has been a gross disruption of the overall anatomy with multiple amputations of the digits. Some are still loosely attached by soft tissue, but not in any usable or recognizable sort of way. Unfortunately, if this happens to you, this is almost definitely an unrepairable injury. There is so much soft tissue loss that even to reconstruct this using soft tissue grafts or muscle grafts from other places in your body is going to be almost nearly impossible. The overall skeletal structure of the hand has been lost, and even were we able to reconnect or reconstruct the skeletal anatomy of the hand, it would be very difficult to give you any kind of soft tissue around that. And most likely, this is gonna result in a below elbow amputation for whoever has this. Note to self, do not put your hand in front of the Desert Eagle.
That high speed's gonna look glorious.
Yeah, I expect that to look ridiculous. It's 3,000 flame.
Oh, dude, Eagles look so
Oh
cool.
my gosh. I'm not sure that I need to see that in that slow motion. Before they go on to 60,000, let's just stop and talk about that for a second. We can see that that temporary cavity, that is 3, 4, almost 5 times larger than the actual size of the hand itself. Ballistic gel versus human tissue, not exact analogs, but you can see that this is going to be a very bad problem for your hand. And there is just no way for that soft tissue to resist that amount of force. Now, keep in mind, your skin is actually designed to stretch. And we see this all the time with pregnant females. The skin actually can stretch quite massively. But usually what happens is that pressure that is being exerted on the skin is done at a very slow rate. Here we are asking that tissue to expand like almost instantaneously. It is unable to do so, and basically that tissue just blows apart.
Cavity's like,
Oh my gosh. I wanna see what that hollow point was doing.
Boom.
Oh, look, you can see it open up right there.
Wow. So one thing that's very interesting that they're talking about here, the thickness of the hand is about 1.5 centimeters. It's a lead projectile which has a copper jacket over top. Within that time frame, we can see that expands from the normal size of the bullet to almost 2 or 3 times its diameter. It kind of speaks to how these bullets are designed to impart maximum damage. Look, I'm an orthopedic surgeon, not a full-time professional keyboard warrior. So why does it feel like I spent more time fighting with my EMR than fixing these? That was before I found a shortcut that actually makes my computer work for me. Control-Enter isn't some bloated software that needs an IT degree and 3 months of training. It's an AI overlay that's like a HIPAA-compliant version of ChatGPT, but for healthcare. You hit Control-Enter and boom, it reads whatever's on your screen. Charts, claims, PDFs, and gives you instant answers or the next best action. Control-Enter is smarter, simpler, zero integration. I used to spend 30 minutes decoding a single claim rejection. Now, Control-Enter, fix suggested, revenue protected. And for the clinicians in the back, yes, it's HIPAA ready with a signed BAA. Most importantly, it uses zero data retention. Your patient info analyzed in an encrypted buffer, then gone. Control-Enter is your AI sidekick for healthcare. Safe, compliant, and ready in days. Healthcare deserves a shortcut. Check out the link in the description. Try Control-Enter free for 7 days. Start practicing medicine, not paperwork. Yes, this video is sponsored, but I'm also a surgeon who got tired of being buried in admin. Control-Enter is the real deal. Give it a shot today. So far, we've been talking about handguns, 2 types of revolvers and the Desert Eagle. Now we are looking at carbines.
And then we still have a Barrett coming later. Yeah.
Yeah, I would expect it to just cause more damage. Just
1.
right out, bam.
Oh, that's not gonna feel
Okay.
great. Oh, that's split.
It'll hurt a little bit.
Oh yeah.
That's-
I mean
that's-
oh, it lacerated. Yeah,
Not as bad
deep.
as I would have
Very cool.
expected.
That's
but
deeper than most of my thoughts. Whoa.
They're using a carbine, which is chambered in 7.62. So this is basically an AK-47 type of round. It's bigger than a .556, which is the NATO standard round for AR-15 platform, you would expect there to be a little bit more damage. You'd expect there to be a little bit more force. And certainly you can see here that they have a full thickness laceration. So we have an open laceration in the palm, and that is quite deep, likely down to the bone. And also there is a burn there. It's a serious injury, but it's not a life-changing injury. And certainly this is something that we can most likely wash out and repair. But one of the things that I think is most important, although we just see this laceration, this represents a high pressure injection wound. We only see the effects of what's happening on the surface, but that gas is actually being blown into the soft tissue of the hand under high pressure. Meaning, if we were to look at this under an MRI, we can see that probably the zone of injury is much larger than just the laceration that we see on the surface itself. There's probably a lot more tissue underneath that is going away from that site of entry. That tissue might be burned. It was likely going to be contaminated with black powder and with gas. So this is an injury that will need extensive irrigation and debridement, or what we call a washout, with sterile saline and antibiotic solution. So this is a bad injury, but probably repairable, and certainly going to leave a scar. Whoa, we can see it under slow motion.
Okay, yep, that's got it. Okay.
That hand is
So your whole
twice
hand's
the
broken.
size.
Pretty much,
Yeah.
yeah.
30,000 frames per second. Boom.
Yep. Look at that.
Look at the hat. Keep in mind, the structure of the skeleton is maintained by the ligaments that attach the bones and hold them together. And when you have expansion of the skeleton in that manner, you can see that each of those joints is being pulled apart. So this is likely to result in multiple dislocations of the hand and multiple ligament injuries, even though you can only see this laceration on the surface. It looks just like a water balloon. It looks like you just filled that up with water and blew apart the hand.
Let's see what happens. This is real groundbreaking stuff we're doing.
All right, I'll get high speed ready.
All right, let's
Now
do
we've
it.
got the big guns.
3, 2, 1.
Oh my God!
I'm not needed here. I am literally not needed here. Holy mac. Jeez, bro. Wah! Keep in mind, this is not by the projectile itself, and anybody who's seen a 50 BMG round knows that it's literally like this huge. We're not talking about the round. We're talking only about the muzzle blast, only about the gas escaping the muzzle was able to do this to the hand. And keep in mind, this is not all of the gas. This is only half of the gas because they put the hand on one side of the muzzle. It happened so quickly that we're not really able to discern how exactly the hand was affected. All we can see is that we have a traumatic amputation at the level of the wrist, and that's a problem. And the interesting thing about this is so energetic, meaning that the gas is moving at such a high speed that although this is a catastrophic injury, I think that probably you would have some time before you needed to get to medical attention, only because I'm presuming that with the temperature of the gas that is coming out, you are going to cauterize the open wound that is left remaining. So yes, you will have lost your hand, but the wound is probably going to be at least partially cauterized so that it's not going to be bleeding profusely, and you're actually going to have time to be able to apply a tourniquet and then seek medical help. Because yeah, this is a big problem. You can see the hand literally gone at the 3,000 frames per second. Now you see exactly what happens. Boom.
When it
That
folds
is
back,
absolutely ridiculous.
Suboptimal.
Suboptimal, no doubt. As the hand expands, all of those ligamentous attachments are grossly disrupted in a violent fashion. As that temporary cavity expands, those bones are just basically scattered to the wind. You probably are going to have difficulty finding all of the individual bones. There's not really any fractures per se, it's mostly all dislocations, right? And again, this is soft tissue ballistic gel. But if we're thinking about the hand, probably that soft tissue is being liquefied or potentially even vaporized by this.
So some civilians get confused when they hear veterans use the term pink mist.
When people talk about pink mist, This is kind of what we're talking about right here.
And I just wanted to tell you kind of what that was. So pink mist is like a gender reveal party for the enemy whenever we send them to whatever afterlife they're at.
We can see that that's obviously very traumatic, but now they actually want to show what would happen if you had your head beside the muzzle. I don't know why anybody would want to do this.
3.
This is going to end
2,
poorly.
1.
Who would have thought? Actually, I probably could have predicted that. It's all over him. It's all over everything. Yeah. Wow. Right away, we can see that this is an instantaneously catastrophic and fatal blast to the face.
To the face, to the face.
Fragmentation of all of the face, well, not all, but many of the bones of the face, including the orbital, the zygomatic arch, the frontal bone. We can see exposure of the soft tissue brain matter inside the skull or the calvarium. You are not surviving this.
Okay. Multiple
Yeah.
skull fractures. That's
Exactly.
supposed to be like over there.
So we got skull fractures, yeah. Okay, that literally looks like an alien when you see it in slow motion.
His poor face.
His poor face. Look at this. Look at that. Look at that. Look at the skin. Ah! Okay, wow. This is just the muzzle blast. The muzzle blast alone from the 50 BMG is more powerful than the actual projectile from either the Desert Eagle, even the Carbine. This gas basically peels the skin off the face, exposes the skull, and then causes the skull fracture. And it's hard to tell here, but what I think is actually happening, you have this gas which is being blasted at the face. Some of it is hitting directly onto the face, and I think that is what is causing the skin to splay off the face. So the skull is being degloved. But I think you have a significant proportion of that gas actually going up the nostrils and then going into the nasal sinuses, into the nasal cavities, because you have this gas being forced in under high pressure and the skull itself is rigid and unable to expand. Once you keep pumping gas into this closed space, eventually you have a buildup of gas in the sinus, and eventually the sinus explodes, basically like a pressure cooker. It's as if the gas itself behaves as its own projectile. Now, granted, I don't want to see anybody have this happen to them, but from a medical perspective, I just think that the process by which this is happening is really cool and really fascinating.
I didn't think it was actually gonna like break his skull apart.
Yeah.
That's kind of surprising.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think that either. Yeah,
Oh my
exactly.
goodness.
See,
A migraine.
boom.
It's still venting gas.
Yeah, once you see this slow motion, I think that that's actually what is happening. And not that it matters, but I think that there would be extensive burning, obviously, to the face. You can see on the skull, you can see where the marks are from the black powder. You're gonna be dead anyway, so it's not really gonna matter. Not that anybody needs to see this, because just from the muzzle blast alone, we can see that it's fatal. But because they want to end things off with a bang, they're actually going to show what happens if you get hit in the head directly.
Ready?
High speed is ready. On you.
3, 2, 1.
You can't take them with you, so why not save a few lives on the way out? Here's the deal. Over 4,000 Canadians are waitlisted for organ transplants right now. And while most of you are totally down with donation, only about a third of you are actually registered. Look, I'm an orthopedic surgeon. I fix bones. But when your time comes, you can fix hearts, lungs, livers, even eyes. Tissue donation alone can save up to 75 lives. 75, bro! I have been involved with the process of organ donation on several levels, and the impact of organ donation, believe me, is profound. And no, eye donation doesn't mean that they take your whole eyeball, bro. Most of the time, it's just the cornea. So you can still rest in peace with your game face on. So here's what I need you to do. Go to donateyourorgans.ca, click your province, register. It only takes 3 minutes. Then, and this part's huge, tell your family, because if they don't know, they might say no. I chose to leave well so that others can live well. You should too. Tag someone who needs to hear this. Register to be an organ and tissue donor now at donateyourorgans.ca.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Well,
Can't say I'm
yeah,
surprised.
oh my God. Yeah, no, exactly. I am not surprised. Watch the brain. 3,000 frames per second. Because, you know, let's just watch it under slow motion. Like 30,000 frames per second? Oh my goodness. Talk about Humpty Dumpty. There is no way that you are even gonna find all of those pieces. One of the things that I think that's very interesting here, you can see that the projectile itself, it enters longitudinally, but within the space of the head and the face, so we're talking about 6 to 8 inches, there's enough resistance by the soft tissue to change the path of it, but the soft tissue does not serve as an impediment in any way, shape, or form because the projectile itself has not been deformed in the slightest. Well, you can see here that actual pressure wave expanding. You can just see it as it goes off screen. If you have a fist-sized hole being formed in your face, that is going to be a big problem. Some of the wounds were more underwhelming than I thought, but some of them were way more devastating than what I imagined. So thanks for joining me in the discussion of how dangerous are muzzle blasts. Let's wrap it up with a roundtable discussion from you, the intern army, about how dangerous muzzle blasts are. Be sure to join my intern army and click on your notifications if you want to catch my uploads every Monday morning. And if you dig what I do and you want to support our mission, consider becoming a member of my channel so that we can grow our creative team to serve you better. And don't forget to follow my gym, Hubie 2.0 Fitness, for free right here on YouTube, where we post content that helps you move better and prevent injury, or its sister channel, Human at Home, where we show you how to be healthy in the space where you live. Otherwise, as always, that's been a word from Dr. Chris Raynor, not your everyday ortho, where we see one, do one, teach one.